Hello and welcome back, folks. HeirofCarthage here. Another battle at the Minnesota. This one another 2v2. Now, again, this is a full team battle, not to be confused with the sub-commander variant, which I played some of and we also see on the channel. So this is players having full funds for their army and not containing just one role within a larger army. And it was Lusitani and Tylis last time we saw this, and it is Lusitani and Tylis again. The 4-rating horseman build is back. And then we're going to have a lot of tribal warriors. It looks like some noble horse and oath sworn. So a very, I would say, fairly standard Tylis army, but a very dangerous Tylis army. Then the Lusitani last time came very sword heavy, and it looks like they have done so again. I'm seeing 7 veteran shield warriors across the front. This time, though, a little bit different. There's some Lusitani guerrillas right behind the skirmish line of Balearic slingers and the standard slinger. Guerrillas are able to stalk, so they can move unseen currently. There's 5 slingers in total this time, so a bit of a switch up here on the build for the Lusitani versus the last time we saw them. And we're going to see Galatia on the other side. They do have a line of Galatian legionaries, dangerous infantry units. There are mercenary Syrian archers, and I imagine we're seeing Cappadocian cavalry here, and one of them gets way out over onto the raiding horsemen, maybe hoping to pin them against the red line. It's not going to work, and they are going to get hit hard by javelins here. But nice fire support here from the Celtic slingers. That's a good choice there to use that Celtic slinger to try and keep those horsemen at bay. So not a dire situation there with the Cappadocians. They took a little bit of damage, but it shouldn't be the end of the world. Look at that one guerrilla back here in the back for the Lusitani. Carthage is on the battlefield. They are sporting some mercenary Campanian cavalry. If the Lusitani allow this cavalry to get into their swords late in the game, this cavalry will make absolute mincemeat of the low armor Lusitani units. So it is an extremely dangerous unit. Now that said, this cavalry does not want to take facefuls of javelins, which the Lusitani can deliver in huge numbers. And it does not want to get wrapped up with Scutari cavalry. So a very interesting pick by Carthage to see that. It's an expensive unit that can do a ton of damage in the right situation. 2 Carthaginian cavalry here, mercenary Samnites, Libyans, Samnites. So a mix of Libyans and Samnites in the main infantry line. This is very capable heavy infantry. They are backed up by mercenary Iberian swords and Scutari, and a mercenary Italian sword. So Carthage has a lot of melee infantry as well. Enough that they can give the Lusitani some trouble here, I think. And then they've got Cretan archers versus the slingers here. Now Cretan archers are going to deal more damage more quickly, but they also don't have a shield and aren't going to want to stand under fire of this many slingers. The Scutari cavalry already making some threatening motions there. So it was 3 Syrians and a slinger for the Galatians, and then it looks like I see 5 Galatian legionaries, that noble horse, very dangerous unit, Cappadocians. It's like Tylis is kind of overloading their left flank, the right flank of Galatia, so Tylis is maybe looking to make an overwhelming maneuver here. Carthage pulling back from the Lusitani. They don't want this skirmish fight, and I don't blame them. But when they pull back and take that fire, it's bad for them. The Cretans are really good at damage, but I wouldn't want to use them in a standoff skirmish like this against slingers. But then again, we'll see. I mean, they do deal a ton of damage, but I don't think this is really where the Cretans want to find themselves. Tylis is already pushing their engagement against the Galatians, so they must be feeling confident. And I mean, they could have some confidence here. There's a noble horse they're using to push the flank with those 4 raiders. We're going to need to see Galatia get their cavalry over here and shut this down immediately before the Galatians can push through. They're already going to be at a bit of a disadvantage here as that tribal warrior is taking on a Galatian sword. And here, Celtic warrior support with the tribal warriors will overwhelm the Galatian legionaries. And it does look like the raiding horsemen are going to be pushed back. And then the gaps are being filled with the Celtic tribesmen here. They're going to want to try and throw their javelins. Yeah, Tylis is really gunning for the right flank of Galatia at the moment. Let's see how that skirmish trades. So Carthage moves up their infantry to help screen their Cretan archers a little. And we'll just kind of keep an eye on things. That Campanian cavalry making a large outflanking overture here, though we want to be careful. If those raiding horsemen come over, that would be seriously bad for Carthage. Let's see how people are holding up in this infantry fight. There's a lot of tribal warriors, and they are cycling to stay fresh. That's brutal. Look at this, though. The Oathsworn taking flank fire from the Syrian archers. Very nice use of the archers. So Galatia holding its flank at the moment, but they are getting pushed hard by Tylis here. Very hard. And Tylis does have some very tanky units. Their attack is not as good as the Galatian Legionaries, but their armor and defense is spectacular. So they can really tank. You got to have some units that can cut through that armor and outlast them. The Oathsworn pushing forward here, but it is taking some brutal fire. And now we are seeing a pretty solid cavalry push here coming. I think that the Tylisians are going to commit to it over here, and the Galatians are going to have to try and stop it. That Oathsworn is really causing a power imbalance over there on that flank. Let's see, Carthage, oh, a brutal charge here. That Carthaginian cavalry dying, but doing tremendous damage to the slingers as it came in, and that's gotten the Cretans an opportunity here. So Campanian cavalry now threatening, but I'm begging the Carthaginian player to just keep that away. Keep it well away from the slinger support. You don't really want to fight Scutari with it, though it could probably take them because they can't deal with the armor. It's just not the best fight, but you're going to need to do it far away from the support of the Lusitani infantry. But look at this. Oh, no, Carthage, don't do it. Don't do it. You're going to throw away your Campanian cavalry. Yeah, they're forced to turn around and charge, and they will hurt that Scutari cavalry, but that unit needs to get away because they are in big trouble. Tylis may be struggling in a couple of spots of this infantry fight. And Tylis is right flank now, or yeah, their right flank definitely getting hurt. I kind of expected these Galatian horsemen to come after the Campanians, but they are feeling a desperate need to support their own flank, so the Campanians may be safe for now. We'll see. There's another Scutari cavalry headed their way. We're going to see a dead charge between Carthage and Lusitani. Lusitani will win the charge. Carthage's infantry will fare better with their armor and stuff over a longer run, but do not underestimate the damage that can be done by the Lusitani infantry. It is significant. So we'll see. That's going to be an interesting fight up front. The Lusitani, a lot of deadly units. Iberian swords chucking their javelins in here. Let's see what that Campanian cavalry gets into. It ends up into another Scutari cavalry. The raiding horseman may be out of ammunition. It is, so it's just going to come help fight over here. No, it's not. It stops. It starts chucking javelins, so the Campanian cavalry really in a bad position at the moment. Yes, it will kill a lot of Scutari cavalry, but it would have done way better to come in on a rear charge or even a frontal charge to support against this infantry. And the Carthaginian cavalry, which is the one that should be back in that fight, is the one that's going to do the job of the Campanian cavalry here. This bodes very ill for the Lusitani. Their infantry cannot tolerate much rear charging. And Galatia has done extremely well here against Tylis, but this is a brutal fight. But I think it's, all things considered, it's not terrible for Galatia right now. In fact, I would say that they're in a pretty decent position. There is a noble horse moving through, but Galatia has its own noble horse. The Galatian legionaries seem to have held against the line of tribal warriors, and so that fight's starting to sour against Tylis. And Carthage is starting to roll up the Lusitani. Glass cannon is what I've called them before, and you can see why here. They did hit extremely hard on the charge, but the armor of Carthage held, and all they needed was a little bit of a rear charge. I figured that coup de grace would come from the Campanian cavalry. It did not. Rather, the Campanian cavalry ended up in a fight with a bunch of other cav, and still held its own. Like I said, it could. It's going to get a lot more kills when it's up against low armor units, but it certainly got a lot of kills there, 114, and now it's headed towards the skirmishers. So rest in pepperonis to all these slingers if it gets there, because this thing can kill slingers for days, and it's going to once it arrives on station. The Lusitani not giving up easily. They've sent their nobles in, and their nobles are going to be a very dangerous unit indeed. 72 attack and 48 damage right now. But here comes that Campanian cavalry, although it's moving rather slow because of its tired state and heavy nature. But I mean, it is going to get kills by the dozens up in these light slinger units. You can see the slingers turning to shoot it as they should, but those slingers are... I thought they were going to get pressured here, but those Iberian swords instead are going to work on the nobles. Not a bad choice. Those nobles are the more dangerous unit here. Raiding horsemen helping out against the Campanians. Campanians still managed to get a couple of dozen kills here at least, though. So, yeah, that unit was... I think it could have gotten used better, but it certainly wasn't wasted. With the number of kills and damage that it did here, certainly not wasted. Galatia just manages to defeat Tylis here. Their general is out here about to go down, and then Tylis, the rest of their army, will crumble. Those Galatian legionaries are tough units, because the tribal warriors are also tough units. So nice job of holding that flank by Galatia. They used the red line a little bit to their advantage there. They were able to kind of pin up Galatia's extra cavalry mobility there with those raiding horsemen. They were able to minimize it by positioning well and keeping their flank supported with spears, with the slingers. That helped a lot on that flank. And then Carthage here, an interesting build to say the least. It was very heavy infantry-wise, and again, that Campanian cavalry, an odd pick, but a pick that did some damage. And that Carthaginian cavalry also very effective in its rear charges into the fight against the Lusitani. The Campanian cavalry did draw the Lusitani cavalry away, which allowed the Carthaginian cavalry to make those rear charges, which effectively rolled up the Lusitani line earlier than it otherwise would have. Because the Lusitani, like I said, they can certainly get a lot of kills. Look at this noble unit. It came into not a great situation late and still picked up 142 kills. And it may hit 150 before it routes. Yeah, it went right past 150. Look at that. Completely surrounded and is still dropping people right and left. 160? Good heavens. Yeah, those Lusitani nobles, they are a wood chipper. They don't stand up for a long time in a melee, but while they're there, they get some damage done. So let's end this and take a look there. So it is a loss for Hotel Soap and Cali here. They did win their last one. But Darkle and Kapari here coming out to win. And remember I told you last time when they lost, I was like, I do not expect that these aren't solid players, because most of the players in these groups are solid players. So sometimes I think people see folks losing to these players in replays and just assume, oh, well, they're just better than everybody. I don't doubt that they're good players. You know, Hotel Soap and Soul are both great players. There are other good players out there too. And so again, just because you see a replay, don't think it tells you all the story about all the time. But well done here to Darkle and Kapari. Very nice work with the Libyan infantry and the Samnites here. They held that line quite spectacularly. I like the mercenary Iberian swords. They are excellent support units for Carthage with their extra javelins. And up against the Lusitani, who don't have a lot of armor and have a lot of javelins themselves, I think the Iberians are a good support choice. In the end, the Cretan archers did own the day. Interesting pick for Carthage, and it paid off. The mercenary Campanian cavalry, again, not in its best situation, but shows you that this is a very serious unit. Its heavy armor and defense does allow it to still do a lot of damage in a cavalry fight whenever the other unit does not have the armor to slow down the damage that the Campanians can cause. And so again, despite all that, double chevroned and had a really good performance. If we take a look at the Galatians here, those legionaries did a spectacular job on that main line. But look at this, that naked sword picking up 222 kills. The Syrian archers also doing well. And then the Cappadocian cavalry and the noble horse doing extremely well here too. So well done by Kapari and Darkle. And then for Cali and in his Tylis forces, the Oathsworn did get a fair number of kills on that flank. You'll see it didn't chevron though, because it was up against some slightly cheaper units. The tribal warriors, definitely capable, deadly units here. They just couldn't quite bust through that line and get into that back line. I do like the pick of all of the... I said there was 4 raiding horsemen. I always missed that Thracian cavalry mixed in there. I do like the pick of all the Jab Cav. It paid dividends in the last battle and could have well paid dividends here. It did not in this case, but still like that pick. The veteran shield warriors, these guys are deadly on the charge. You saw it. It looks like 4 of them chevroned up despite, going headlong into the Carthaginian forces there. They are dangerous units. Some of the Balearic slingers did pretty good here as well, despite ultimately losing that fight to the Cretans. But yeah, just a little too much in the end for the Lusitani to handle. Hope you all enjoyed this one. Thank you to all the players. HeirofCarthage signing up for now. I'll see you all soon with some more action in Total War Rome 2.